Beneath the stone courtyards of the Sri Padmanabhaswamy Temple in Thiruvananthapuram, an estimated $1 trillion in wealth sits sealed in subterranean darkness. The guardian of this hoard is a deity whose unique physical manifestation dictates how the entire complex is navigated and understood. Deep inside the temple's inner sanctum lies a central idol of Lord Vishnu, depicted in a state of deep yogic sleep. The sculpture is massive, spanning 18 feet in length, making it physically impossible for a devotee to stand in one place and view the entire figure at once. To navigate this physical constraint, the temple architecture forces a highly specific method of observation. Visitors must walk along the exterior of the sanctum and look through 3 separate consecutive doors. They see the deity's face through the first, the navel through the second, and the feet through the third. The history of the temple unfolds in these same distinct layers. To comprehend the scale of what lies beneath the floor, one must piece together the ancient origin myths, the global trade networks, and the modern legal survival of the institution. The first door frames the face of the deity, representing the origin of the temple's mythological presence. Local texts describe a devout sage named Bilvamangala Swamiyar. According to the record, the sage chased a divine child deep into the dense Anantha forest. When he finally caught up to the child, the boy vanished into a massive tree, which immediately tore open to reveal Lord Vishnu manifesting as an enormous physical presence. This mythological scale translates directly into the physical construction of the idol. The 18-foot figure is not carved from a single piece of stone, nor is it cast in bronze. It is assembled from 12,008 individual sacred saligrama stones. This photograph shows the rocky banks of the Gandaki River in Nepal. Every single one of the 12,000 stones used to build the idol was sourced from this specific riverbed and transported nearly 2,000 miles south to the Kerala coast, demonstrating an immense logistical effort. To bind the stones together, craftsmen used a highly secretive, ancient herbal compound known as Kadu Sarkara Yogam. Because of this exact chemical composition, the massive idol is forbidden from ever coming into contact with water, meaning the traditional pouring of liquids during worship is entirely prohibited here. The face of the deity represents the incredible physical and spiritual engineering required to anchor a massive divine presence to this specific geographic location. That foundation set the stage for the economic gravity that followed. Stepping to the second door reveals the center of the idol, the navel, from which a lotus emerges bearing Lord Brahma. Historically, this center corresponds with the temple's economic core. The accumulation of wealth began through 3 domestic pipelines. First, the ruling monarchs instituted mandatory bod taxes, requiring citizens to redirect a portion of their income to the temple. Second, massive royal gifts poured in from regional empires, including the Pandyas and Krishna-Devaraya. Third, local kings routinely deposited the spoils of their military conquests directly into the temple's subterranean vaults. Beyond domestic taxes and conquests, the region possessed a massive global export. This photograph captures workers sorting large sacks in a traditional Kerala warehouse, handling the region's most lucrative commodity, black pepper. Known globally as black gold, pepper grown in this region commanded a staggering premium. Trade networks moving through the local ports allowed the kingdom to exchange literal handfuls of pepper for equal handfuls of solid gold and raw gems with Dutch, Portuguese, and Roman merchants. The wealth beneath the temple did not materialize out of thin air. It is the direct result of centuries of highly efficient, globally connected economic consolidation, flowing steadily into a single geographic point. By 1750, this accumulated wealth faced an existential threat. Expanding military forces under Tipu Sultan and aggressive European colonial powers were moving closer, drawn by the prospect of plundering the region's overflowing treasury. Facing the limits of his military strength, Maharaja Martanda Varma executed a highly strategic legal and religious maneuver known as Tripadidanam. He formally surrendered his entire sovereign kingdom and all its assets directly to the deity. As seen in this historical portrait of a later monarch in royal attire, the rulers of Travancore officially stripped themselves of ownership. From 1750 onward, the Maharaja and his descendants rebranded themselves strictly as Padmanabhadasas, servants of the Lord. The physical consequence of this vow was absolute. The state treasury ceased to be government property and was transformed into untouchable divine wealth. It was relocated entirely into the deep, hidden vaults beneath the temple floor. This vow formed the ultimate defensive mechanism. By transferring ownership to an immortal deity, the Maharaja created an ideological shield stronger than any army at deterring invaders from breaking the vaults. The third door reveals the deity's feet. In temple tradition, this is the only place where the Maharaja of Travancore prostrates, symbolizing the total surrender of his worldly possessions to the Lord. This physical act of surrendering ownership provided the legal basis for the most significant audit in modern history. This building is the Supreme Court of India. In 2011, responding to serious concerns over the security and management of the site, the court issued an order overriding centuries of tradition, a mandatory official audit of the temple's 6 primary vaults, labeled A through F. When auditors finally broke the seal on Vault A, they found a room choked in darkness. The gold and gems had originally been stored in heavy wooden crates, but the centuries underground had completely disintegrated the wood, spilling massive drifts of glittering antiquities directly across the stone floor. As the auditors sorted the hoard, they found these solid gold Roman and Napoleonic coins, alongside diamond-studded crowns, 18-foot solid gold chains, and thousands of kilograms of raw precious metals, physical proof of the ancient international trade networks locked in the dark. The 2011 Supreme Court audit confirmed that the local legends were mathematically understated. Based on the sheer weight of the precious metals and the antique value of the artifacts, the temple cemented its status as the wealthiest known institution in human history. Yet, even with the audit complete, one massive iron door remained, and still remains, completely sealed. Vault B. The reluctance to open this final room is rooted in deep cultural terror. The door is said to be secured by a Naga Bandham, an ancient, mystical serpent lock. According to tradition, forcing the door open without the precise, lost phonetic chants invites immediate disaster. Historical records feed the fear. Unofficial attempts to breach the vaults for profit in 1908 and out of desperation during a famine in 1931 both reportedly ended with men fleeing for their lives as massive swarms of venomous cobras flooded the subterranean tunnels. In 2020, the Supreme Court delivered a landmark ruling that definitively settled the temple's future. This legal diagram illustrates the court's reliance on a specific principle in Indian law, Shabbat rights. Under the principle of Shabbat, the legal system treats the deity as a living entity, essentially a minor who owns the property but requires human guardians to manage the estate. The court ruled that the Travancore royal family maintains those guardianship rights. The trillion-dollar fortune endured through the rise and fall of empires and the arrival of colonial powers. Its ultimate defense was the unbroken lineage of humans who maintained a 270-year-old promise to remain humble servants, transforming a kingdom's wealth into an untouchable divine legacy.